Hey guys, it's Eric with the Miller Park Minute, where we're throwing strikes, getting likes, hitting dingers, getting listeners. We are back again with another episode. Whew. Honestly, it's been a week. We've got a lot to talk about. We've had a lot to talk about. This first week back of being able to talk actual baseball news and actual Brewers news it's been a trip. And today's news and today's headlines and articles are right along those lines. First, before we talk about that, you can use the code Miller Park Minute at SeatGeek. Get $20 off your first order. You can also go visit us at millerparkminute.com. If you want to support the show, you can go over to patreon.com/millerparkminute. The Brew Crew has made some news. This is a daily show. 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time is our upload time. So if you want to check us out, that's the daily time. We are also on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're there. All right, so it's a later one tonight. Recording a little later than I wanted to. I was on the Bart Winkler show earlier, so go check out the Bart Winkler show. He does good stuff. I was there to talk Brewers and the Burnes situation, and kind of I've come full circle. I've made some comments out there on the Twitterverse and the Facebook, and I've kind of come full circle on this thing. I think you guys are no stranger to the fact that I want our players played. I want us to spend the most money possible. I don't want us to be cheap. And I've started videos years ago when I first started posting where I said, this is why the Brewers don't have to be a small market team. And I was basically proposing the Steve Cohen aspect of baseball. And now, fast forward 4 years, we get a guy named Steve Cohen, who's a hedge fund owner, who's got lots of money to spend, and he wants to spend the money on his team to win a World Series. Where it's not necessarily a business venture for him, it is a business venture at the same time. He is going to make money off of this ball club because he's putting great names out there and he's going to fill seats. But at the end of the day, the business for him has been signing players to get to a World Series, to bring a World Series to the New York Mets. Sorry. That being said, here we are with the Brewers. We have a result of an arbitration case. Corbin Burnes lost his arbitration case. Corbin Burnes made some comments when the microphone was shoved in his face. McKelvey was doing his job. I learned that on the Bart Winkler show. Yes, McKelvey was doing his job. But was it a played-up story? Did Rosiak maybe play this up a little bit? Yes, he did. Is this story bad? Yes, it is bad for the Brewers. It was bad the minute that they announced that they were going to a case. I think that's where maybe I'm a little bit different. My mindset's a little bit different than the rest of yours. When you say they're going to an arbitration case, that's when we should have freaked out. Because we were already there. We're already down the road. They weren't gonna. I'm sorry, but if in your mind you think there's hope that between when they say they're going to go to a case and when they actually go to that case, you think that something's going to happen to make that change? And the arbiter's not at fault here. That's the process of baseball. That's the guy's a mutual arbiter. He looked at the numbers, looked at the facts, looked at the fact that Brandon Woodruff has X more days of service than Corbin Burnes does, and said, yes, it makes sense that Brandon Woodruff is paid 10.8, but you're only paid 10.1. Those are the facts. Does it not make does the facts and the business of it not mean that the Brewers are cheap? No, the Brewers are very, very cheap. But What I'm saying is you can't be mad now for a decision that was made 2 weeks ago. We already knew this was going to happen. This was already set in stone that this was going to happen. They were going to plead their case. Corbin came out today, made some comments, said some things. Those things, yes, they were ugly. They were truth hurting, bad vibe for the Brewers. But that's not a news flash. There hasn't been a positive story out of a separation with the Brewers since last year. Lorenzo Cain. I mean, the only good thing that they did there was let Lorenzo Cain get to 10 years of service time before they cut his ass loose. But the writing was already on the wall there. The writing has been on the wall. If you're looking for a job with the Milwaukee Brewers, and this was something that came up when I talked to Bart again. If you're looking for a job with the Milwaukee Brewers and you have a little hindsight to social media, good news, they hire for that about every year. So if you want to get into social media and have a short-term job, the Brewers are hiring for that. They hire for a lot of things every year. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. I look every year, and they're always hiring for it. Right now, they got no jobs, though, for some reason. I did look earlier tonight when I was talking to Bart. And one of the things that I keep thinking to myself here is at some point we're going to wake up from this terrible dream that is this best run in Brewers baseball that we've had in a long time. And we're going to say, holy shit. Is this really how it played out? Yeah, it is. It is. It definitely is. It 100% is how it's playing out. And, this is me getting back on the negative soapbox for a minute. I've been pretty positive. I've had a long train of positive podcasts since I started doing this podcast on the daily. And it floors me. It floors me that they throw stupid upon stupid fan favorite Lorenzo Cain cut loose. Then came in comments that he wasn't really used appropriately. There was a lot of things that came out after Cain, and I got on him. And a lot of people were like, no. The Brewers are it. Then I said things after Josh Hader was traded. Well, he sucked. He was in the tank. Why? That's why we traded him. He was garbage. We got something. Look at all we got. Then a day later, we released a player that we got in that trade of one of the numbers, just to have the number of prospects they traded. They released one the next day, and then he went over, played for the Rockies, went 7 shutout against St. Louis. That aside, the equal that we grabbed in that Josh Hader trade turned out to be hot garbage, hot steaming garbage. Josh Hader came back around. Rodgers did not. It just continued with that trade. And then you get rid of you release a very inexpensive piece that has been the anchor of your system for a while, a guy that's been around. I mean, these guys all kind of have been in the system together for a very long time. The relationship between Raptor and Cain, the relationship with Hader and just about everybody. Hader was everybody's friend, and you could see that on Devin Williams' face. You could see that on Corbin Burnes' face. Brandon Woodruff, every guy that they interviewed, and Brandon Woodruff Corbin Burnes and Hader had a very special relationship, and you could see that in Burnes' reaction. Burnes is a quiet guy. He's not the guy that's going to go scream. You could tell even in those questions that he was asked today, he was very uncomfortable. And I'm not going to play him You can find him easily on Twitter. Uh, really shout out. I'm on Twitter. I make commentary from time to time. It's Miller Minute on Twitter. I don't pop that enough. I'm not as active as I could be. So, but I will make comments and I will comment on your 2 cents if you put it out on Twitter. And you may not like what I have to say. Like I told several people, this is a business. I said this story made this worse by the beat report by made worse by beat reporters throwing mics in his face. He was annoyed with the questions. He was annoyed because you're already in a bad place. Your boss didn't give you the raise you expected. You're going to be kind of ticked off. You're going to tear off the guy next to you's head when you get back to your cubicle if he does something stupid to annoy you. That's a fact of life. That is a fact of life. His was just a lot more money than everybody else's than all of us because we're not paid that much. And yeah, I said it. It's a business. It's a fact of life. This is a part of the process. We knew this was going to happen when said process started, when they announced 10 of 11 have been agreed to arbitration. Yeah, that meant one was going to go sour one way or another. It happened with Adrian Hauser. It's happened with a lot of guys over my years of Brewers fandom. It's probably going to happen a bunch more times. I mean, if you think Devin Williams is going to get more money than what the Brewers propose, I think if you've got a little something behind you, that's when they're going to fight the hardest because they're going to try and shave money from the top end contracts. And that's what they're going to do as a team. This quite frankly is the biggest news that we've had all off season. Outside of William Contreras, we have not made any other headlines in any other waves but this. Why is this headlines and waves? I didn't see, and I've been on Twitter today. I've been on Twitter since this happened. I have not seen a headline or a wave about another. Oop, Josh Hader is trending. Why is Josh Hader trending? Let's find out. Yep. So Josh Hader is trending because people are blaming. There was a comment made. There was a comment made basically that said one of the things they cited is they didn't make the postseason, and part of that was Burnes' play towards the second half. Whatever numbers didn't line up. That's irregardless. Those were just things. That's just part of the default list that they load. And like, you have to understand when they go into every one of these hearings, the list of problems is going to be the same. Well, we didn't win the World Series last year. We didn't make a postseason appearance in the case where they don't make a postseason appearance. We didn't get past the first round of the postseason was probably the reason last year. So those are going to be the reasons. But a lot of people are calling out now basically everything I've said in every negative light that I've said it. And this is where I have the ability, and I said this to one of my friends in conversation. I said, I'm kind of like the light side of this, and you're now slipped to the dark side. You flipped to my side of where I used to be and the anger I used to have with the club. And that's where I can kind of sit in a spot and be like, yeah, this isn't that bad. But yeah, like here's one from David Gasper on Twitter. Lorenzo King called out management for disrespecting him for years. Josh Hader called out management for not focusing on winning a World Series. Corbin Burnes called out management for blaming him for not making it to the playoffs. There's a problem. Brewers need to look in the mirror. And that's management. Ryan, in my opinion, this was way worse than what happened with Hader. Burnes is worth a Cole type contract, and Mark fought him over $749K. I don't disagree. I mean, I really don't. But at the end of the day, this was going to happen 2 weeks ago. This was going to happen when they announced these arbitration things. This was just the hearing to make the Brewers' cheapness official. And Corbin Burnes spoke after it. That's the difference here. That's the difference between 2 weeks. We got a result. And someone did call out the guy who made the comment. Lorenzo Cain was allowed to be on the team until he reached 10-year service time, and literally no other reason. Josh Hader demanding that he no longer wanted to be used for anything besides 1-inning saves. The Brewers said okay and did as he wanted. I don't know what kind of retort that is, but anyways, there's a lot of opinion. There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of discussion right now, and quite frankly, I'm not saying that anybody's necessarily wrong. I'm just saying like you're not having the foresight to know that this was going to happen. I mean, you might as well put this in the. I guess we don't have a media guide anymore, but I think they did do like a yearbook. They could have wrote this on the last page of the 2022 yearbook, and it would still hold true. We are going to be cheap. We are going to not do things that you like, and you will live with it, and you will support us and spend money. And the fact that this comes on the notice of that the United States, the Wisconsin state government, the senator wants to spend some of his surplus on ensuring that we have the Milwaukee Brewers, says that they see that the value and the impact of the economics of baseball. That's the truth. That's the truth in the matter. The truth is that they see a value in the team. Mark sees a value, but he also wants to look good on his revenue sheets and his revenue sharing for his partners and things like that. He wants everything to be kosher that way. They want to cross promote with Giannis because Giannis is good for the city and good for everything. Anything you slap Giannis's name on is going to sell. That's why they gave away a Giannis bobblehead a year ago when he was a part owner. That's why they're giving away a Giannis City Connect jersey. That's why they do these things. They do things to be promotional and to make themselves the most money. You give out a Giannis City Connect jersey, that night is going to be busy. You're going to have a ton of people banging down the doors. They're going to do the things that are going to make them the most money. They're gonna pump up Saturday night crowds because they're giving away stuff now. Where Saturday night should have been come have a great time at the ballpark. They're pumping it up with bobbleheads now. Sundays they don't need to worry about selling anymore. That always used to be part of the fun of taking your family to a ball game on a Sunday was you were going to get a little keepsake, a little something to take home, one of these guys. Not anymore. Actually, they haven't even announced a winter tailgate, frozen tailgate, Arctic tailgate. They haven't even announced one of those yet. They put the promotional items on sale. The promotional, like the Jedi, the Cookie Monster thing, all that stuff. That's all on sale. But the regular season tickets aren't there yet. The individual tickets aren't there yet. And I think it's because they have no plan. It's piss poor management. And you can see that. Like, I mean, if you didn't notice, late to the party was all the social media for the Brewers today. And it was terrible. Everybody else is pumping up. There was some great stuff with. Apologize. Sorry, doing this late. The newly crowned NL Central Hall of Famer McCutchen was out on talking about being back and it's smelling good or bad. But yeah, I mean, there was just so much. There was so much happening today with baseball, and there's still a lot of good vibes out there with Major League Baseball, but there's also a lot of bad vibes with the Milwaukee Brewers. Go figure, right? And this isn't the end of this conversation. I think this conversation will go on and on and on and on. But beef up bets a lot stronger heading into 23. McCarver, Tim McCarver died today at 81 years old. He was a 2-time World Series champion. Catcher. DeGrom is aggravated. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't expect, and I think the Texas Rangers are the only one who are going to pay DeGrom in the first place, but I don't know why they didn't expect him to have issues. Tatis is bouncing around camp. He's in a great mood. Yeah. I think the Yankees, and I'm going to put this on the podcast. I said to the Butcher earlier, I think the Yankees are one bad pitcher injury away from bringing Trevor Bauer back. As of this juncture, no one is paying Trevor Bauer the league minimum for his talents. So I think that's probably the only way. I think it'll be a holdout until the end of spring when somebody's like, oh, gosh, our pitchers are too injured and we need somebody. So I don't know. Corbin Burnes is worth a lot of money. Corbin Burnes should be extended. The Brewers are too cheap. Have been too cheap. Make bad moves. Make bad PR moves. Make bad moves managerial-wise. And maybe that's why Counsell isn't extended. Because early on in his tenure, they made like moves that they were going to do something and made it look like they made all these years of progress before we just got to the point where we're kind of, swimming in one place, swimming in our own piss. Instead of getting out of the pool, they're just going to keep swimming in it, Hey, that's a bad analogy. Guess I should have read that one through the old brain before I said it, but whatever. We're swimming in our own piss. I don't know. That's all I got, I guess, right now, because my brain is fried. I'm over having conversations about this, and I'm sure it'll come back up. We'll circle back to this, I'm sure, because this ain't the end of the Milwaukee Brewers are cheap. This is going to be episode number 45 of Milwaukee Brewers are cheap. We expect to talk about other players that they refuse to pay any money to. I look forward to talking about this with Brandon Woodruff, Willie Adames coming up, Eric Lauer, Devin Williams. The list goes on and on. Sorry it was a negative episode, guys. It is what it is. Go check out the Bart Winkler podcast. I was on there for quite some time tonight. I appreciate you guys. Thanks. Peace. I'm out. I'm done. Like, subscribe, share this with a friend. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Go Brew Crew, I guess.
Thank you for watching the Miller Park Minute. Go Brewers.